These hills are grass covered and rolling, and they are lovely beyond any singing of it. About you there is grass and bracken, and you may hear the forlorn crying of the titihaya bird.
I loved in Lost in the Stars the big idea that it's a real tragedy, and that they use the elements of Greek tragedy to create it. There's a big Greek chorus. It functions like a Greek chorus to ask big questions about humanity in contrast to this very specific story we're hearing. The music is powerful and theatrical, and Kurt Weill is just an extraordinary theater mind, and as was Maxwell Anderson. And to get to tell this story and to use and to work in their material was something that I thought would be a great way to spend your time working on something. And I think the story of apartheid, imagining that you could tell the story of apartheid in musical theater, was a great experiment. And I think that because music theater can reflect the heightened emotional crises in the way it can, better than any other form of theater, I think this piece really does that.
It's such a fun, sort of unexpected, challenge for a choreographer, because this show never gets done. I've never seen, there hasn't been really a New York revival other than I think it ran for 2 weeks maybe in the 70s. So it's just fun because the material's so obscure. I think it gets done in opera houses occasionally, but not all that often. So for all of us, it's a sort of unique thing, but for a choreographer, it's fun because there's actually not a big dancing chorus. There's not big dance production numbers, so there's really the time that you never get to focus on little details and sort of the physicality of the population on stage, and to do all of those sort of just the detailed work that you never have time to do. I'm finding that really satisfying.
I think the music is very powerful, very beautiful. I think that the story is very moving, and it's so interesting to look at this show as Kurt Weill's last musical. I just was at Knickerbocker Holiday last night, which was one of his first musicals, written with Max Anderson, the same collaborator as this, and to hear how far he went in the 10 years or so in between, it was just so fascinating. Kurt Weill orchestrated all of his own Broadway musicals. This one is unusual because he wrote it for a very small orchestra, for 12 musicians. So normally at Encores, you'll see a nice big old orchestra on our stage. You're going to just see the 12 musicians. So that's the way it was written. That's what we do, is we honor the way these shows were originally performed and heard. So we're not having our own budget cuts over here. We're just doing it the way that he wrote it. But the result is incredibly distinctive. It's like chamber music almost.
Before Lord God made the sea and the land, he held all the stars in the palm of his hand, and they ran through his fingers like grains of sand, and one little star fell alone. Then the Lord God hunted through the wide night air for the little dark star on the wind down there, and he stated and promised he'd take special care so it wouldn't get lost again.
Okay, I play Stephen Khumalo, who is the father, who is the umfundis, or religious leader of the community. And his journey is one that deals with the contradictions and complications of truth. Because his big climacting arc, the climax of his arc through the piece, is a struggle with whether to tell his son to lie or to tell the truth. If he tells a lie, he can live. If he tells the truth, he will be hung on the scaffold and die.
I play Absalom Kumalo. He is Stephen's son who sort of falls into some bad things, trying to make some money, and then eventually goes to jail for killing a man. And later we find out that he passes away. But there's nothing funny about him. This is a long, big transition from a donkey, one could say. But what's interesting about this show, about this piece, is that there's, it is a play with music almost, in that I don't have any singing lines. Most of just all of my part is spoken. So it feels much like a play for me, whereas for others it is a musical.
The character I play is Irina. In a nutshell, she loves her man. Quite frankly, she is the love of Absalom. And currently carrying his child, and her reason basically for living is him. She loves him, and that's pretty much all she can see. So no matter what, no matter the challenges of their relationship, the tumultuousness, craves this man, and would give her life for him.
Well, I play James Jarvis, the patriarch of the white landed family, sort of landed gentry in this town outside of Johannesburg, who's very much old world, white South African, somewhat challenged by his son's rather liberal approach towards the racial relations. And my character learns, as a result of a tragedy, how to deal with this great divide and how the world should go forward, putting behind all the bigotry and so forth, as has happened. And this, of course, was written 60 years ago.
Isn't that amazing?
Phenomenal. Yeah. I never read the original novel. It's one of those books everybody has on their bookshelves, and they get to it along with Anna Karenina and War and Peace, But I'm sure it's a little more fun than that. But yeah, fantastic story.
I play this character called Linda, and you meet her in the nightclub scene. It's right where you meet the other character, Absalom, as well, when Stephen goes to find his son. And I have the only part in the show that's sort of kind of upbeat and fun, and it's the only, really fun number in the show. So it's nice that I get to, do that. And
what is the number? Talk a little bit about the score, what you love about the score.
Well, I love Who Will Buy. I love that there are all sorts of little metaphors and all little things hidden in what my song is about. It's a very, I guess you can say, sexual number, but it's done in a very cute way, and the orchestrations and the music, the harmonies and all that stuff. It's all really, really great material, and I never knew that much about Kurt Weill before I started the piece, and when I heard the soundtrack, instantly I loved it. So I think everyone else will love it too.
I think they're probably touched. They can be expected to see something about a process that was going on in South Africa, this unethical process of apartheid, and hopefully get an opportunity. I feel like at the time that it was done, it was giving audiences this opportunity to use theater as some sort of platform for social change. So it's a beautiful story about a man searching for his son. And so it's a very human story on that level, even though it's approaching and attacking this huge thing called apartheid. And I think there's a universality to the story in that it's a human story about a man looking for his son.
I play Grace Kumalo, who is the wife of Stephen Kumalo, who's played by the wonderful Chuck Cooper. And Grace and Stephen are dealing with the loss of their son, Absalom, who's played by Daniel Breaker. And he goes off to Johannesburg. It's done in South Africa in the late 40s. And it's about apartheid, it's about father and son, and it's about the loss of a child. And I pretty much stay home and encourage Stephen to go and find our son and find out what's going on in Johannesburg.
What you love about the score, this musical was written a long time ago, yet it's touched on some really heavy stuff. When no one tackled this.
Yes, it's extraordinary that in 1949 a piece like this was written. It's so brave of the playwright, of Maxwell Anderson, to put something like this on stage where people are dealing with, again, race and class and things that weren't on stage at the time. So it's definitely timely for now. And it was almost prescient for what was going on, what we're dealing with today. And the music is haunting, it's glorious, and again, it pulls you in into the story, so you're not being preached at, and you don't feel at all like it's a chestnut, a museum piece. Not at all.
Women, of mothers and children. The men are away, the young men and the girls are away. The soil cannot keep them any